Okay, hope you enjoyed part one of my conversation with singer-songwriter Dani Kerr. Get ready for the second part of this conversation. You're going to be surprised to hear about her number one all-time favorite band. Now, if you're in the area, Catawba, North Carolina, this Saturday, August 31st, go check out Dani Kerr and the Skeleton Crew live at Waterside Bar and Grill. And she'll mention some other tour dates later in the episode. Saturday, September 14th, she'll be headlining the Uari Music Festival. She's also at the Raleigh State Fair, October 26th. And be sure to follow Dani Kerr on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and go to the website, DaniKerrmusic.com. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Once again, Dani Kerr. You do some really cool stuff, Dani, with your support of, I know recently you were supporting the WRC's Pantry program.
Yeah, absolutely. So they are the Women's Resource Center based out of Catawba, North Carolina, and they are absolutely awesome. What they do is they provide resources to different women and children that are out there that are struggling. You know, they provide anything from feminine products to, you know, deodorant, shampoo, laundry detergent, all those types of things so that women, kids, and everybody can be healthy and hygienic and, you know, have what they need to live their basic life. And I've always been so inspired by organizations like this. The community that I grew up in here in Statesville and Iredell County, in this area of North Carolina, I grew up doing poker runs, which is like motorcycle runs where you basically ride your motorcycle around and you raise money for charity, and you have different stops and different benefits for people. This community has always just been so supportive. So I really was just kind of raised doing that, and I really enjoyed doing it. And just to know that, you know, you're helping out there. I feel like if any of us have a chance to help, we should. And, you know, these people have been amazing. So Belinda is one of the lovely people that work at the Women's Resource Center, and she's one of these bikers that I've known forever, her and her husband, and they're just so sweet. And I definitely try to just help out when I can, because I'm, you know, if I'm blessed to be able to provide a space where they can get some donations or get some support, you know, that's the least that I can do, you know, doing what I do. So, and it was a really awesome turnout. I have to give a shout out to the people of Mooresville and Shoals Grill, because the gig was literally the day that we had the tropical storm come through here. So it was literally a tropical storm outside, raining buckets, and people showed up and we got carloads of stuff. So that just shows how really supportive the whole community is. And like I said, I'm just lucky to be a part of it.
That's great. It really kind of shows that you bring a human quality to what you do. I know you kind of referenced on that America's Got Talent experience, that, you know, I'm here to show people that there's still real humans in music today. It's not all manufactured. And talk about AI on this show sometimes. I mean, that's just going to be a part of our lives more and more. But yeah, it's just really refreshing to see someone that's real salt of the earth.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, it really, you know, like I said, I've been inspired by many before me, and, you know, no hate to AI and how people use it. You know, I definitely wouldn't judge anybody, but I always say that art is a physical form of human emotion. So, you know, any piece of art, any piece of music, you know, whether somebody's cooking or they're painting or they're sculpting or they're making a song, you know, that is the physical form of the emotions, I feel like, that live inside of us. So without that aspect of it, I don't feel like you get the same thing. Now, not to say that, you know, AI can't create some awesome beats that make you dance, and, you know, not to say that it can't be cool, but I just think that there's something special when you hear, you know, when you can really connect to the human aspect of art and to music and to other people. I mean, it just draws us all closer, I believe.
Well said. I know some artists are always writing, and some artists are like not writing every single day, but they're just when it comes to them. So how does your schedule work? Are you performing and then writing when the ideas strike you, or how does it work out for you?
You know, generally, most of the times, I'm kind of that way where I kind of write sporadically. Anytime that not anytime, but if, a lot of times that I try to make myself sit down and write, end up with a lot of blocks. So what I'll do to kind of prepare for when those moments come, those little spurts of, writing juju, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but, all day long my head is just kind of running. And as my good friend Stephen Winger said one time, it's almost like you've got an antenna coming out of your head as a songwriter, and just all of a sudden you'll get these pings on your antenna of these little lines or little melodies that just kind of come out of nowhere. And so what I've started doing is just writing all of those down, even if they're not like complete thought. Maybe I'm doing something and I can't get it all out, but I'll just type down or write down kind of that little message through the antenna, because it goes quick. You have to capture it right when it comes, or you've lost it. So it's kind of for me, it's a very sporadic and random process, but I kind of trust that songs kind of come out for me whenever it's time for them. And it's a beautiful thing to witness. I thought that I wasn't a good songwriter necessarily because I couldn't sit down and just write a song in any given moment. But I realized, there's just different ways that it comes about.
This may be kind of an odd question, but have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, maybe the middle of a dream, it seems like, and it's 3 a.m. and you're like, oh shoot, I got to write that down. I don't know how much sense that makes, but I need to scratch that out. Does that ever happen?
Yes, absolutely. That is, it happens quite often. And, sometimes I'm too much in the sleep stage to make myself get up and write it. And I'm like, oh, I'll remember in the morning. Yeah. And then every time I don't remember. So I've gotten better about just like, nope, I got to get up and write this down right now. But it happens.
I always like, well, of course I do. I try not to, I have these little tics where I'll say, I always like, or, hey, real quick, let me ask you this. Like, I'm trying to overcome some of my tendencies. I want to point people to the merch on your website. Again, if you go to DaniCarrmusic.com, some really unique stuff here. I like to have things in, whether I know that artist's full catalog, if I just like the design. You've got a coffee mug, probably will be receiving an order from me for that.
Oh, thank you.
Phone case, an art print, hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, a lot of cool stuff, folks. So check out the website. And then I also noticed on your Instagram that you got, it was a pretty cool reel, I think, where some artists like yourself are making your own merch.
Yeah, we just started doing that again recently. I tried to do it back in the day. I just didn't have quite the right setup to go about it. But me and the band have kind of brought the idea back. Really just inspired by how expensive everything is now. And, I got to a point where, I was having to charge like $30 for a shirt. And I was like, I'd really like to have $20 shirts and, be able to, one, get to have the hands-on experience to make the merch and, have it be affordable for people as well. So it was a win-win. And, we go through and all the designs, we make, and we'll cut the shirts up and we'll tie-dye them ourselves, me and my bandmate Tori. So it's been a really cool experience. And I think that, again, it just gives you like an extra like touch of what we do and kind of the energy that we're trying to bring. And it's been a really, really cool thing to be able to do and to have the resources to do it. And I feel like, I'm seeing a lot more artists these days kind of turning into multimedia artists, which is great because most artists that I've met don't just do one type of art. A lot of artists that I meet, they're artists of all kinds and they dabble in a lot of things. So I'm seeing a lot more artists now doing that. And I think it's just so cool because it's, it's so unique and so personal. And I love that. I love any chance that we can kind of connect personally with people and just show the love.
That's great that you said that. I think everyone seems to think, oh, that guy probably just plays bass and that's all he does. But that person might also be a sculptor or like to paint.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it seems like a lot of artists I meet, they, once you learn to kind of express yourself through art in one way, you kind of just like to do it in other ways, even if you're not as quote unquote good at, the other skills. But I feel like a lot of us still enjoy other, other medias of art as well.
Okay, well, just one or two, just little rapid fire questions, I guess. Now you've gotten comparisons, and I love it because I hear it. Stevie Nicks, of course, Dolly Parton. How about, do you have an all time favorite artist? That may be hard to pin down, but do you have either a singer or a band that you really like?
I definitely do. And this is going to be, the answer is going to be so off of what anybody would think. But my number one band of all time that just, they're the ones that got me into all this, just this whole life is a band called My Chemical Romance. Now,
Oh, wow.
I don't do anything, close to their style, I don't think, but they greatly inspired me. And from the time that I was a little kid watching Gerard and the whole band perform, and just how much they put into their art. They were just so impactful to me, and they've always just remained like the most sentimental band to me. Funny enough, because what I listen to and what I love the most is like, Janis Joplin and Stevie Nicks. I love the Grateful Dead. I love Billy String, Sierra Farrell. So many artists that I equally love as number one, but I have to say that band has just always been so special to me. Funny enough.
Wow, I love that I asked because sometimes, yeah, you can surprise people. You'd never know. I do like, yeah, and I like music that some people would never suspect. But I love that you cover All I Can Do Is Write About It. I'm a big Leonard Skinner fan. I love the Street Survivors album, but I think this one was off of Gimme Back My Bullets, which
Yes.
people forget with Skinner. If you're only familiar with the songs that everybody knows, there are some great cuts on these albums that don't get radio play. Even on that, Gimme Back My Bullets, I used to have this on CD. Songs
Nice.
like Every Mother's Son, Double Trouble. I used to like
Yeah.
Searching. But I like that y'all pulled that one out to cover.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say that last question that you answered, it could have either been, however I was feeling in the moment, could have either been Michael Grummet or Leonard Skinner, seriously. And man, talk about one, knowing how to relate to, common folk trying to live. And two, just the combination of players that they had. The fact that they had four guitar players at once and not one of them stepped on each other's toes. That was amazing in its own. You had Billy Powell on the keys. Just such, and every song is so good. And like you said, there's so many that people have never heard and may never hear, but are so, so good. And I love a lot of those. Every Mother's Son's one of my favorite ones, as well as Things Going On. That one's really powerful to me too, which I believe I can't remember what album that's on now, but
yeah.
But either way, that
I got my 6-year-old son. I think when he was just turning 5, I got him into Honky Tonk Nighttime Man.
nice.
And we would listen to that on the way to or from T-ball. I think
Oh, that's awesome.
one of my favorites, and it's kind of up there. It's like it's not Freebird or Simple Man, but I think a lot of people know about it. But You Got That Right is probably in my top
yeah.
3.
Yeah, that's a great one. That one and working for MCA kind of, I think, go hand in hand. They're so good.
Leonard Skinner, I think they get caricatured sometimes, or they get put in a box for Sweet Home Alabama and Freebird, but there's just so much more there. And like you said, I love how you pointed out the guitarist, where, man, that may not work in 2024 with people's egos, and
Oh, no.
it's amazing what they created.
It really was. I mean, they played so perfectly together. And I know they worked hard, and Ronnie was not the kindest man to work with at times, but I'm so glad they stuck it out, because I think they're one of the most underrated. They're kind of underrated as a band, like you said, I think because of Sweet Home and Freebird, but those are also killer songs. It's not their fault they got overplayed, but yeah, it's so good. Alan Collins, I think, is Alan Collins and Steve Gaines are both two of the most underrated guitar players. In the conversation of guitar players, you don't really hear about them much, but man, they were smoking.
That's right. Love some Skinner, and obviously sounds like we could talk about them for a while, but
Yeah.
y'all have some dates coming up, and I want to make sure I mention this, some shows with the Skeleton Crew. Y'all are playing at Waterside Bar and Grill in Catawba, North Carolina, Saturday the 31st.
Yes, and that is pretty much the home ground. So if anybody's interested in getting really personal with us, that is the home spot. So that's kind of our summer stop here at Waterside. It's always a special time. Very very low key kind of show. So just come expecting a good time on the lake.
I've got some listeners in North Carolina, but they may be spread out. I know there's some Raleigh people and Winston-Salem people, but in between, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, and we do have some really cool shows coming up, kind of spread out across North Carolina. Here coming up in September. September 2nd, we're going to be at the Iredell County Fair, which is right here again at my home, which will be pretty cool. September 14th, we're playing and headlining our very first music festival, which is the Uwari Music Festival there at the Vineyard. Tickets are only $25 right now. It is a killer lineup. Bart Lattimore, which I recorded I Got You, will also be playing with his band, the Old North State. And there's some other great bands on the lineup. So that show we're really excited about. At the end of September, we'll be back in Carolina Beach for the Blakesley concert series at the Fort Fisher Pier. Always love that area. They are so much fun in Carolina Beach, and they love music. And then for the Raleigh folks, if there's anybody out there, we will be playing the State Fair in October on the 26th. And we have some other events going on, so if anybody's interested, we'll be around. So Facebook and the website's probably the best way to stay updated.
Well, Dani, thank you so much for appearing on the show today. I have just had a ball talking to you, and
thank you so much again.
So excited to get your story out there. Anything else that you'd like to promote or talk about before we always got to put a bow on these episodes? I don't ever like to shut it down, but we got other things to do with our day here. So
yes. Well, once again, Dan, thank you so much again for having me. This is actually one of the first real podcasts that I've done. So thank you for being willing to do it with me. And just to wrap it up, really thank you so much to anybody out there listening and supporting all your artists and supporting us, and anybody out there listening to the music. Thank you so much. And Dan, thank you so much again.
Thank you, Dani. An invitation is out there. Would love to have you back.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. We'll have to touch base.
Okay, y'all. Well, that's it for this episode of Dan Time, and hopefully Dani has inspired you in some way. Even if you're not a performer, it just dawned on you. You've been going to that job, pulling into that parking lot for the same place for the past 9 years, and you're thinking, why am I doing this? I don't have to be here. I don't have to deal with this boss. There's other jobs. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes a little bit of courage. But on the flip side, if you do play an instrument, but you're just nervous about taking that first step, maybe Dani can be an inspiration for you. You certainly are to me.
Well, thank you so much again. And yes, I second everything you just said. And if you heard that, go do it.
Get one life. Let's have some fun with it.
Absolutely.
Even if your mom doesn't like it, your dad doesn't like it in the moment, just tell them, hey, trust me on this one.
Right. They'll get it. They'll get it eventually.
Okay. Y'all have a great week. Go make a difference in somebody's life and go have some fun with yourself. Thank you, Dani Carr. And we'll see you next Sunday on the Dan Time Podcast.